Hello and welcome to AC with Wacy. Just a short video, sort of, sort of a, sort of a rant, bring us back to earth type video. I've had a lot of calls lately, people building homes. Apparently, these videos are reaching out a little bit because I get calls from across Texas, outside of our area even. But people asking if they should really build their homes as tight as people are tending to do these days, and if they should be using spray foam. And the short answer is yes. Um, but there's spray foam has been really popular for a period of time now. So there's a lot of people out there starting to post that they are seeing unhealthy homes, or that their house is dirty, or they have humidity problems, or this or that. And it's all being blamed on the tight construction and the spray foam. Um, I feel like we cover this on this channel a bit, but I still get these questions. So, just for reference, uh, if you are trying to make healthy air in a home, right? You want your kids have allergy problems, they have asthma, somebody's on oxygen, all of these breathing things, and you want to breathe cleaner air. You want to keep from getting sick as often. You want your kids to not have to struggle with their allergies in the spring. A tighter home is better. All of these allergens, all of these bacteria, the humidity, the smoke, the all of this stuff is outside of your home, and it doesn't have to come into your home. Uh, there's always going to be some leakage, but there are. So the way that we measure this is with the blower door test. Energy code says that your house should be at least a 5. The lower the number, the better. There's a lot of homes being built out there between a point 0.5 and a 1 air change. I think a 2 is more standard, but you can always strive to be a bit better. Um, but if we can block off the amount of air coming into this home, we have a much better shot of knocking this stuff out and giving you a better home. So the tight construction, and spray foam helps with tight construction. Spray foam's a great product. I'm not going to say you need it for tight construction. I've seen there are people out there making tight construction without spray foam. It's easier to do with spray foam though. So don't blame the spray foam. Don't blame the build being too tight. Blame your ventilation system. Blame your AC system. Blame your filtering system. If you build a very tight home, but you are not exchanging air properly to keep from having the same stagnant air within your home, and by proper ventilation, I mean we are bringing in a specific amount of air. We are exerting out a specific amount of air. That air being brought in is filtered. It's run through an ERV to help control some of the humidity and get us some of the energy back of our temperature exchange. So ventilate it properly, size it properly. Um, the AC sizing thing, I really cannot stress enough. I was at a home yesterday, very well insulated, 6-8 inches of foam, brick on the outside. It's probably a very tight construction, with the exception of some of their kitchen vent was basically a hole in the roof. They hadn't attached a pipe, and it was just blowing towards a cap in the roof, and their bathroom ventilation wasn't done tightly. Their fresh air ventilation was merely a 4-inch pipe running into the back of their unit, which means it is pulling in air nonstop anytime your unit's running, and quite a bit of air. So, I mean, just very poorly done. And yeah, the air in that home is probably not overly clean. Has nothing to do with their construction. Nothing to do with their, well, It has to do with the construction in the sense that their ventilation and AC guys did not do a very good job. Um, but aside from that, uh, they had a 5-ton unit on about 2,300 square feet, 2,200 square feet. Um, I'm sure they looked up, and the old rule of thumb was 500 square feet a ton. They said, well, spray foam would be a little bit better. So they went with 5 tons on 2,300 square feet. But the homeowner told me that he had done some research and he saw that it was 500 square feet a ton, and he didn't think that 5 ton was big enough. So to help it out, he portioned it off into zones. Basically, cut his house into thirds. Um, can make a system more efficient. However, he had a single speed unit, which means that anytime it comes on, it's at 5 tons. Um, yeah, if it's 80 degrees outside and the load on that house is a ton, then it's at 5 tons. If he has one zone running, which that's 5 tons by a third, you'd not quite be 2 tons a zone, 1.75 or whatever. So let's just call it two. Say that zone calls for 2 tons of air. He's still getting 5 tons of air. He's still powering up a 5 ton unit. He's still using the power of a 5 ton unit. Yeah, the temperature in that room is going to drop. It's going to drop really fast. Um, the air conditioner is not going to get a chance to actually condense some of the air running past it to pull humidity out of the house, which means the humidity's going to stay. Um, he's probably setting his thermostat 3-4 degrees lower than he actually needs, but he's having to do it to get some of the humidity out. And again, he's upset, thinks it's because of the foam. It's not because of the foam. It's because he missized his AC to start with. He zoned it, which means that anytime one zone's running, he's really oversized, and he's on a single speed unit. So it really doesn't have a chance. So bottom line, don't blame your foam. Don't blame the tight construction. Blame loose construction. Blame the foam if it's not installed properly. But it's not the product itself. It's how it's being applied. And the fresh air, putting an ERV onto a house when you build it, putting a variable speed system onto a house when you build it, doing a duct blaster test to make sure that you seal your ductwork when you put it onto a house is expensive. Putting in bath fans. There are bath fans out there that operate off of humidity, meaning that if you're in the shower for too long and you forgot to flip on the light switch to run the bath fan will kick itself on and get that humidity out of your house. Um, it's a little bit of a markup on those bath fans, but if you would do it right, you won't get 5 years down the road or 10 years down the road and be blaming spray foam for humidity problems or air purity problems or all of these things. Spray foam's a great product. I'm not saying that when you build you should use spray foam no matter what. I think there's other ways to do it, but it is a very good product. I am saying that you should build as tight of a house as you can. If you want it to last longer, you want it to be efficient, you want it to be healthy. Tight construction is better. It just is. Um, that being said, it has to be properly done. If you're going to seal a house up, you better have your ventilation right, better have your AC right. Put a good filtering system in there. Take advantage of that tight build. You've got an environment that can be controlled. Spend a little more money on an electronic air purifier. Spend a little more money on a little better filter. Uh, you've basically got a place that you're going to spend the majority of your time. Your kids are growing up in this environment. Do a little bit to help it out. But bottom line, tight building is good. There's nothing wrong with spray foam, assuming the foam is applied by a professional and done properly. Um, I would I would prefer to do a tight build with spray foam, or at least an R value similar to spray foam. Um, you'd get a better house. So, anyways, like I said, just a little bit of a rant. We've had a few calls lately. I've been at a few houses lately to where there's been some issues, and they're blaming the foam, or they're complaining how we build houses too tight. All of these things, and just keep in mind that these things aren't bad things. It's like blaming the car for the car wreck. Yeah, there's probably a small percentage of them out there to where the foam wasn't mixed right, the foam wasn't put on right, etc., and the foam is the problem. But in my experience, I get called to a lot of these houses, and a lot of it's the install. A lot of it's the install of the AC and the ventilation. Um, if you have a nice tight home that's well insulated with spray foam or something else, and your air is not clean, or you have humidity problems, or any of these things, I'm sorry, but it's not the build and it's not the foam. It's the AC system, it's the filtering system, it's the ventilation system. I mean, if you put spray foam on a loose build and you expect it to do the same thing as spray foam on a tight build, you're going to be off there too. But that's all I really got. Thanks for stopping by.